Hi everyone, we are continuing on with our quilt along um, with the pattern called Off the Rails. I will continue putting the link down below. We're doing part 2. So today we are going to cover this square and then these, what I call the rails, these and these, okay, for each of the blocks. So let me switch to the above camera. So we're going to work on getting these done and these cut. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut these. I'm just going to cut a couple to show you quickly. So you're going to, I believe you need one strip for the, hold on. Let me just put myself up in the corner. Forgot to put myself up in the corner. So you only need one strip to get the amount that you need for those. All right, so we're just going to line everything up and we're going to take our ruler, and I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use my magnetic ruler. Okay, so this is a magnetic cutting mat, and this is a magnetic ruler. Listen to it. It snaps into place and it doesn't shift as much. So we're going to cut these. To get the cutting, how wide to make the strips, all the cutting instructions, you will need to buy and download the pattern if you want to do this quilt. And it takes 4 meters. So 4 different fabrics. 1, 2, 3, and 4 different fabrics, a meter of each. So kind of cool. It's not a big quilt. It's not a huge quilt. It's, I know it says it's 40.5 inches by 60 inches long. So it's not that small. So we're just going to cut these. And you make the amount that it tells you to make in the pattern. Okay. Now, for the rails, let me just put this away. For the rails, for this one, you are going to take how many strips that they tell you to cut for the patterned and the background. I'm calling this background. I'm calling this background. So they're going to tell, the pattern tells you how many strips you're going to need for this and how many strips you're going to need for this fabric. And you're going to sew them together like this into stratas. Super easy. And then we are going to cut them based on what the pattern calls for. So let me just make sure I get these out of the way because I don't want to cut those up. I don't want to cut onto those. So there's a little bit of a trick I'm going to show you. So you can cut multiples by kind of stacking these and lining them together like this. And this way you can get quite a bit cut. That's my iron. You can get quite a bit cut without, and you can stack a third one. Just make sure that they're square and they're lined up nicely. I'm just going to make sure it's all lined up. And there we go. So you can cut multiples of these rails if you take your seam and just kind of line them so they're stacked like that on top of the white, or the other way, whichever suits your way of cutting. And then we're going to cut the amount that we need. And we're just going to line up And you know what? I think I'm going to grab a couple of extra magnets because there's a lot of layers there. And I don't want this to shift. Okay. Oh, you know what? I forgot to trim up. All right, just give me a second. Let me get my brain wrapped around this. Okay, so I'm going to trim these up first. And then 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of extra magnets on. I really don't want this shifting on me. Sounds loud, but there's a magnet here. Like this is a magnet, and then there's a magnet at the end. So it really makes a difference for cutting. And there you go. You have 3. If you stack them like this, you can do 4 stacks, whatever you feel comfortable with. And instead of stacking them on top of each other, just stack one strip on top of the other strip, then on top of the other strip, and then just cut them. So you need to get, I think it's 60. You need to make 60 of these. Okay, so and that's it. Okay, next week we're going to start assembling block 1. Okay, so let me just do a recap quickly. You're going to cut whatever the pattern calls for this. That goes there. And what I call the rails, you're going to make enough for both blocks. And some of them go there. And some of them go there. Now what I've done is one block, the dark fabric is facing in, and the other one is the dark fabric is facing out, because I want to make sure that they don't have the red touching the red and vice versa. So you got a nice little stripe happening here and here and here and here. So it makes a bit of a secondary pattern. So next week we're going to assemble the first block. So we'll see you next week. Happy quilting. Bye-bye.